The giant alien ship appeared above Earth without warning. It hung in the sky like a dark cloud, twice the size of the moon when viewed from the surface. For 3 days, it said nothing, did nothing, just watched. When they finally spoke, their message went to every screen and speaker on the planet at once. We are the Galactic Conclave, rulers of the 17 United Star Systems. Your world has been evaluated and found worthy of testing. You will face the Sentinel trials. Pass, and you may join Galactic Society. Fail, and face quarantine. You have 30 Earth days to complete the first trial. In the United Nations Emergency Chamber, world leaders argued loudly. Some wanted to fight. Others wanted to surrender. No one knew what to do. General Harmon slammed his fist on the table. We need our best people on this now. President Garcia nodded. I agree. Captain Allison Wright from the United Earth Defense Force should lead the response team. Captain Wright stood at attention in the general's office just 2 hours later. She was tall with short brown hair and eyes that missed nothing. Her service record was perfect. When things went wrong, she made them right. Captain, meet Dr. Nathan Cole, General Harmon said, pointing to a thin man with glasses who seemed lost in thought. He's our top physicist. Together, you'll handle these alien challenges. Wright shook Cole's hand. What do we know about these trials? Cole pushed his glasses up. Not much. The aliens sent specifications an hour ago. They're troubling. He showed Wright his tablet. The first challenge required retrieving an object from a dense asteroid field without using advanced engines or weapons. The aliens had set impossible limitations on speed, fuel, and navigation equipment. They're testing us, Wright said, studying the details. But they've designed this to make us fail. Exactly, Cole agreed. It exploits what they perceive as human weaknesses. We rely on technology they consider primitive, and they've restricted exactly what we'd normally use. General Harmon frowned. Can we do it? Wright and Cole exchanged looks. Maybe, Wright said, but we'll need to think differently. Later that day, they met in a secure room beneath the Pentagon. Maps of the solar system covered the walls. Scientists and military personnel hurried about, setting up equipment and arguing about physics. High above Earth, the alien ship remained. Smaller craft occasionally left its hangar bay, orbiting Earth in patterns that suggested they were taking measurements. The aliens call themselves the Conclave, explained Jane Porter, the lead xenobiologist. Based on their communications, they're a coalition of species. The ones who contacted us are led by someone named High Arbiter Xal Kren. Wright studied the grainy image of Xal Kren they'd captured from the transmission. Tall, with blue-gray skin and multiple eyes arranged vertically on a face that looked almost bird-like. Their message had a tone of superiority, Porter continued. They see us as primitive, like we're applying for a job we're not qualified for. So we show them what humans can do, Wright said firmly. Dr. Cole looked up from his calculations. I think I have something. We can't use advanced propulsion, but they didn't restrict our use of gravity wave detection. How does that help us? Wright asked. We've been mapping gravity waves for decades. If we modify our detection system into a prediction model, we could plot safe paths through the asteroid field, use the gravitational pulls to our advantage. For the first time that day, Wright smiled. So instead of fighting the asteroids, we dance with them, Cole finished. Over the next 2 days, while the world held its breath, Wright assembled her team. They would need a pilot with exceptional skills, someone who could fly by instinct when technology was limited. Kevin Hayes, Wright told General Harmon. He's unconventional, but he can fly anything. The maverick who landed the disabled shuttle during the solar storm. Harmon asked. He broke 17 regulations and saved 62 lives, Wright countered. This isn't about following rules. It's about surviving impossible odds. The general nodded slowly. Get him. As night fell over a frightened Earth, Wright stood by the window, looking up at the alien ship. She thought about all the challenges humans had faced throughout history, All the times they'd been cornered, outgunned, overwhelmed. And all the times they'd survived anyway. "You picked the wrong species to challenge," she whispered to the stars. Kevin Hayes arrived at the base wearing jeans and a faded t-shirt. Security almost didn't let him in until Captain Wright vouched for him. His messy brown hair and casual smile made him look more like a surfer than one of Earth's best pilots. "So you want me to fly through rocks without proper engines?" Hayes said after Wright explained the mission. He didn't seem worried. "Sounds fun." Dr. Cole spread out charts of the asteroid field. "We've mapped possible routes based on gravitational pulls. The key is to use the asteroid's own movement to guide your path." "Like riding waves," Hayes nodded. "I get it." While they prepared, Earth's ambassador to the conclave, Diane Russell, met with the aliens on their ship. The meeting room was strange, too tall, with odd lighting that made human skin look gray. 5 different alien species sat across from her, all watching with unblinking eyes. High Arbiter Corden spoke first. "Your species seems confident about passing our trial. This is unusual." Russell kept her face calm. "Humans respond well to challenges." One of the reptilian aliens, called of Githrax, made a sound like rocks grinding together. "All species say this. Few succeed." Russell noticed something interesting. The insect-like aliens, the Zeri, seemed to be watching her with more curiosity than judgment. Their feelers twitched whenever she spoke. Maybe not all the aliens wanted humans to fail. Back on Earth, the modified spacecraft was ready. It was small, with minimal systems as the challenge required. Hayes sat in the pilot's seat, running through checks. "The beacon is located here." Wright pointed at a spot deep in the asteroid field. "You'll have 8 hours of air and fuel. After that." Hayes grinned. "I'll be back in 6. The launch was smooth. As the small craft rose toward space, millions watched on screens around the world. The fate of humanity rested on one ship and one pilot. The conclave vessel sent a signal that officially started the challenge. Immediately, Hayes faced trouble. The asteroid field was denser than their scans had shown. Rocks the size of buildings tumbled in unpredictable patterns. "They changed the field," Cole said, watching from mission control. "They made it worse." Wright gripped the edge of the console. "Hayes, can you handle it?" "Working on it," Hayes replied, his voice calm despite the danger. He turned off most of the ship's systems, relying instead on basic tools and his own eyes. Using Cole's gravity predictions, Hayes began to navigate. Instead of fighting against the asteroids, he moved with them. When a massive rock tumbled toward him, he didn't avoid it. He used its gravity to slingshot his ship deeper into the field. The aliens watched from their vessel. Xalkren's multiple eyes narrowed as Hayes made progress. "Impossible," the Githrax commander hissed. "No primitive species has passed the first quarter mark." One of the Zeri twitched its feelers. "Perhaps we underestimated their adaptability." Ambassador Russell kept her expression neutral, but inside she felt pride. Hayes was showing them what humans could do. In the asteroid field, Hayes faced his greatest challenge. A collision had damaged his main thruster, leaving him with minimal control. The beacon was still a mile away, behind a wall of spinning rocks. "I can't reach it with direct approach," he reported. Dr. Cole quickly calculated a new path. "There's another way. See that large asteroid to your right? If you land on it, you can ride it as it passes near the beacon." "Land on a moving asteroid?" Wright asked. "Is that even possible?" Hayes laughed. "Only one way to find out." He lined up his approach and cut engines. The ship drifted toward the massive rock, using only short bursts from remaining thrusters to guide it. With a careful touch, Hayes landed on the asteroid's surface and secured the ship with emergency grapples. For 20 tense minutes, he rode the asteroid as it tumbled through space. When it passed near the beacon, Hayes used his spacesuit thrusters to make the final jump. His hand closed around the small glowing device. "Beacon secured," he reported. In the conclave ship, Silence fell across the alien observers. Zalkrin's face showed no emotion, but his hands gripped his seat tightly. "The human has succeeded," he announced flatly. "Prepare the second challenge immediately." Ambassador Russell noticed the Zeri exchanging looks. One of them approached her quietly. "Your people did well," it said, its voice like rustling leaves. "But be warned, they will make the next trial harder. Much harder." As Hayes returned to Earth with the beacon, celebrations began worldwide. But Wright and Cole didn't join in. They knew this was just the beginning. "No time to celebrate," Wright told her team. "The second challenge starts tomorrow." The second challenge arrived as promised. A strange metal box was delivered to Earth by a small alien shuttle. Inside was a device covered in symbols no human had ever seen before. A message came with it. "Decipher the language. Disarm the device. You have 48 hours. Captain Wright called in Professor Alan Miller, the world's leading expert in linguistics and code breaking. He was older than the others, with gray hair and kind eyes behind thick glasses. "This isn't just a language," Miller said, studying the symbols. "It's a puzzle. The device is programmed to simulate an explosion if we get it wrong." Dr. Cole scanned the device. "It won't actually explode, but if we fail, the conclave will know immediately." Wright nodded. "Then we don't fail." Miller set up in a quiet room with walls covered in the alien symbols. He worked for hours, barely stopping to eat or drink. Something about the patterns seemed familiar to him, though he couldn't say why. Meanwhile, Security Officer Jack Ramirez had a different mission. Young and athletic with a talent for going unnoticed, he was selected to gather intelligence. During a scheduled meeting between Ambassador Russell and the conclave, Ramirez slipped away from the human delegation. The alien ship was vast and confusing. Ramirez moved carefully, avoiding patrols of tall, silent guards. He found a room with glowing screens showing maps of many planets. Some were marked with red symbols. He used his camera to take pictures of everything. One screen showed a planet being mined by large machines. The inhabitants, small, four-armed beings, worked in chains. Ramirez felt cold. This wasn't mining. It was slavery. Back on Earth, Miller had made a breakthrough. These symbols repeat in specific patterns. And look here, this section is almost identical to this one, but with small changes. "What does that tell us?" Wright asked. "It means this isn't the first time they've used this test." Miller pointed to variations in the symbols. "Different versions for different species. They've done this before." Wright frowned. "So other species have faced these challenges?" "Yes, and based on what I'm seeing, most of them failed." Ambassador Russell met privately with a Zeri called Tits, the same one who had warned her after the first challenge. They sat in a garden on Earth, away from both human and alien listening devices. "Why are you helping us?" Russell asked directly. The insect-like alien's feelers twitched. "Not all of us agree with the conclave's methods. Some believe the trials are unjust. What happens to species that fail?" Tix hesitated. "They are contained. Their resources are utilized." "You mean they're enslaved?" Russell said flatly. The alien didn't deny it. "The Vikithrax control most of the conclave military. They need resources for their empire. Failed species provide those resources." Russell's face paled. "And you allow this? Until now, we had no choice." Tictiz's compound eyes reflected the garden lights. "But your species is different. You solve problems in ways we haven't seen before. You might change things." When Ramirez returned with his photos, Wright called an emergency meeting. Earth's military leaders reviewed the evidence and began secret preparations. If diplomacy failed, they would need other options. In his workroom, Miller suddenly stood up. "I've got it." He pointed to sections of the alien text. "This isn't just a language. It's a code within a language. They've hidden the disarming sequence inside a story." "What story?" Cole asked. "It's about a species that challenged their gods, and lost everything. Miller looked troubled. It's a warning. With just 3 hours remaining, Miller decoded the final sequence. The team gathered around the device as he carefully entered the symbols. The device hummed, then went silent. On its surface, a green light glowed. "We did it," Wright whispered. On the Conclave ship, the aliens watched in disbelief. Most species never solved the language puzzle. "Impossible," the Vicithrax commander growled. "They must have cheated." High Arbiter Halkren studied the humans on his monitor. "No, they are adaptable. More than we expected." He turned to his officers. "Prepare the environment chamber. The third trial begins immediately." Ambassador Russell noticed several Conclave members exchanging worried looks. Humanity wasn't following the expected pattern. They weren't supposed to succeed this quickly. For the first time, the aliens looked uncertain. The third challenge was announced without ceremony. A large dome appeared overnight in the Nevada desert. Inside was an artificial environment designed to be hostile to human life. The rules were simple. Survive for 72 hours. "They want 3 people to live in there," Captain Wright explained to her team. "No advanced technology. Limited supplies." Olivia Martinez stepped forward. She was in her 40s, with dark hair streaked with gray and eyes that missed nothing. As Earth's leading environmental specialist, she had survived in some of the planet's harshest places. "I'll lead this one," she said. 2 others volunteered to join her, a wilderness survival expert and a military doctor. They entered the dome with only basic supplies: water purifiers, simple tools, and seeds for fast-growing plants. Inside, they found a nightmare. The air was thin and smelled of sulfur. The ground was rocky and barren. The temperature shifted wildly between freezing and boiling. "They've combined the worst environments from different planets," Martinez observed. "This isn't just a test of survival. It's psychological warfare." Meanwhile, intelligence analyst Paul Bennett discovered something concerning. Young and brilliant, he had been monitoring all Conclave communications. "They've increased military transmissions by 300%, he told Wright. "And look at these ship movements." The screen showed dozens of Conclave vessels moving into positions around Earth. "Are they planning to attack?" Wright asked. Bennett shook his head. "I don't think so. Not yet, but they're getting ready for something." Ambassador Russell received another secret meeting request from Tates. This time, the Zeri brought data files. These contain information about previous species who faced the trials. The alien explained. Some passed multiple challenges, only to fail the final test. "Was the final test impossible?" Russell asked. "No, it was altered." Tates's feelers drooped. When a species performs too well, the Vicithrax change the parameters to ensure failure. Inside the dome, Martinez and her team faced new challenges every hour. The air became poisonous. Strange plants grew rapidly, releasing toxins. The ground cracked, revealing pools of acid. But Martinez had planned for this. She had studied Earth's most adaptable organisms. Her team built shelters that could be quickly moved and modified. They created simple filtration systems using sand, charcoal, and cloth. They identified which plants were safe to touch and which could be used as medicine. "Humans have lived in changing environments for thousands of years," she told her teammates. "Our ancestors didn't have advanced technology. They had something better. They could adapt." By the second day, they had not just survived. They had created a stable living space. They grew edible plants using techniques developed by ancient desert cultures. They collected water from the air using methods from Earth's driest regions. The Conclave watched in disbelief. Most species struggle to survive even a day in the artificial environment. "They must be using hidden technology," High Arbiter Halkren insisted. He ordered a full scan of the dome. When it revealed no advanced technology, just clever use of basic materials, his anger grew. "This is impossible," he said. "Increase the environmental hazards." The dome's conditions worsened dramatically. Toxic gas filled the air. The temperature soared to dangerous levels. But Martinez had anticipated this. Her team had built underground shelters and stored enough clean air and water to last. When the 72 hours ended, all 3 humans walked out alive and relatively healthy. Gizalkrin immediately accused them of cheating. No primitive species could survive those conditions without advanced technology. Martinez stepped forward. We used knowledge, not technology. Many of our techniques were developed by my ancestors in South America, who lived in harsh environments for generations. Her calm response left Gizalkrin speechless. Ambassador Russell noticed more conclave members looking uneasy. The humans were not following the script. They weren't supposed to be this resourceful. The 4th challenge will begin immediately, Gizalkrin announced, his voice hard with anger. There will be no rest period. Captain Wright met Russell's eyes across the room. The message was clear. The conclave was getting desperate, and desperate enemies were the most dangerous kind. The 4th challenge arrived in a sealed container. Inside was a small vial of green liquid. The conclave called it the Extinct Plague, a bioweapon that had defeated 3 previous civilizations. You must create a cure within 5 days, the message said. If you fail, we will consider your species too dangerous to join galactic society. Dr. Samantha Turner was called in to lead this challenge. She was young but brilliant, with short blonde hair and steady hands that never shook, even under pressure. As a medical researcher, she had helped develop vaccines for several deadly Earth diseases. This isn't like anything I've ever seen, Turner said, studying the pathogen under a microscope. But it has similarities to bacteria found in volcanic vents on Earth. She called in microbiologist Eric Johnson to help. Together, they worked day and night, testing how the pathogen reacted to different treatments. Meanwhile, Captain Wright and Security Officer Ramirez confirmed troubling news. The conclave ships were moving into attack positions around Earth. They're preparing weapons, Ramirez reported, not just defensive systems. Wright confronted High Arbiter Gizalkrin during a meeting. Why are your ships taking combat positions? Gizalkrin's multiple eyes blinked slowly. Standard protocol for the final stages of testing. Nothing to concern yourselves with. No one believed him. Ambassador Russell decided to take a risk. Using information from Tatas, she approached representatives from other alien species who seemed unsure about the conclave's methods. We know what happens to species that fail these tests, she told them. We know about the slavery, the resource harvesting. The crystalline aliens called the Lumi, who had been silent until now, spoke through their translator. Many of us have questioned these practices, but the Vigthrax military power has prevented change. Then help us change it, Russell said. Form an alliance with Earth and other sympathetic species. In the lab, Turner made a breakthrough. The pathogen has a genetic structure that can be modified using CRISPR technology, she told Johnson. We don't need to kill it. We can change it. Into what? Johnson asked. Something harmless, Turner smiled. Maybe even beneficial. They worked frantically, testing their theory on samples. The modified pathogen stopped reproducing harmful toxins. Instead, it began to consume other dangerous substances in its environment. We've turned their weapon into a cleaning system, Turner said with wonder. 3 days ahead of schedule, they presented their solution to the conclave. The once deadly pathogen now functioned as a biological filter that could clean toxins from air and water. The aliens were stunned. High Arbiter Gizalkrin looked at the results with disbelief. This is impossible, he said. You've altered the fundamental nature of the pathogen. Yes, Turner said simply. Rather than destroy it, we changed it into something useful. Gizalkrin recovered quickly. The 5th challenge will begin immediately. Your team must. No, Captain Wright interrupted. The room fell silent. Humans didn't interrupt the High Arbiter. What did you say? Gizalkrin's voice was dangerously quiet. I said no, Wright repeated firmly. We've completed 4 impossible challenges. We've proven ourselves. But we will not continue while your ships aim weapons at our planet. You dare make demands of the Conclave. Zalcrin stood taller, his alien frame looming over Wright. Yes, she said without flinching. We do. Remove your weapons, or the trials end now. The room erupted in angry shouts from the Vkathrax. But to everyone's surprise, the Zeri, the Luma, and 2 other species moved to stand with the humans. We support this request, the Lumi representative announced. The positioning of weapons violates the sacred neutrality of the Sentinel trials. For the first time, Zalcrin looked uncertain. The alliance forming before his eyes was unexpected. Very well, he said finally. Some ships will be repositioned. The 5th challenge will begin tomorrow. As the aliens filed out, Ambassador Russell exchanged looks with her new allies. This wasn't just about passing trials anymore. It was about changing the balance of power in the galaxy. And humans had just taken the first step. After tense negotiations, most of the Conclave weapons were moved away from Earth. The 5th challenge was delivered the next morning. Create a stable fusion reaction using only basic materials. They want us to build a star in a box, Engineer Maria Collins said, examining the specifications. She was middle-aged with dark skin and steady hands that had built some of Earth's most advanced energy systems. She called in quantum physicist Greg Foster to help. Young and brilliant, he had been studying fusion reactions since he was a teenager. These specifications are wrong, Foster said, pointing to several equations. If we follow them exactly, the reaction would become unstable. Collins nodded. They're trying to make us fail by giving us flawed instructions. Or worse, Foster added quietly. This could cause a catastrophic explosion. Instead of following the flawed specifications, Collins and Foster decided to develop their own approach. They based it on cold fusion experiments from the 2030s that had been refined, but never fully implemented. If we modify the containment field this way, Collins suggested, drawing on a tablet, we could achieve stability without following their exact specifications. While they worked, Ambassador Russell used the evidence of deliberate sabotage to demand a formal inquiry into the Sentinel trials. She presented her case to a council of representatives from all Conclave species. These trials aren't tests of worthiness, she said firmly. They're designed to make species fail so you can exploit them. We have evidence from multiple sources. The council chamber erupted in argument. Several species voiced support for Russell's claims. Others, particularly the Vkathrax, denied everything. High Arbiter Zalcrin tried to dismiss the proceedings. This human makes accusations without proof, he said. We should continue with the trials. But the Zeri representative stood. We have reviewed the evidence. The human speaks truth. These trials have been corrupted. The Lumi joined in. We too have harbored doubts. This must be investigated. 2 other species sided with Earth. It was unprecedented. A challenge to the Conclave's authority from within. Zalcrin's face showed no emotion, but his hands gripped his ceremonial staff so tightly it nearly broke. This meeting is adjourned, he announced. The trials will continue as planned. As he left, the chamber divided. Several species remained with the human delegation, openly rebelling against Conclave leadership. Back in the laboratory, Collins and Foster had built their fusion device. It didn't look impressive. Just a metal sphere surrounded by field generators and cooling systems. But inside, something remarkable was happening. We've achieved stability, Foster said, watching the readings. Temperature holding at 15 million degrees. Reaction is self-sustaining. Collins smiled. We did it. When they presented their results to the Conclave observers, the reactions were mixed. The Vkathrax scientists insisted it couldn't be real. The Zeri were impressed. The Lumi simply studied the device in silence. Zalcrin reviewed the data himself. You did not follow the specifications exactly, he said accusingly. The specifications were flawed, Collins replied. We corrected them. That was not permitted, Zalkren said. You have failed this trial. Ambassador Russell stepped forward. No, they succeeded brilliantly. Your specifications were deliberately designed to cause failure. We have proof. She displayed analysis from Dr. Cole, showing exactly how the original specifications would lead to disaster. The evidence was undeniable. Murmurs spread through the alien observers. This wasn't just a diplomatic incident anymore. It was becoming a full rebellion against Conclave authority. Captain Wright surveyed the room, noting which species seemed supportive and which remained loyal to Zalkren. Then she made a decision. We've passed your 5 challenges, she announced. Now it's our turn. Earth has a challenge for the Conclave. The room fell silent. This was unprecedented. No species had ever dared to challenge the Conclave itself. Zalkren's vertical eyes narrowed. You have no authority to issue challenges. Actually, Wright said, according to your own ancient laws, any species that passes 5 trials earns the right of challenge. We've studied your history very carefully. For the first time, the High Arbiter looked truly worried. The humans weren't just surviving the trials. They were changing the rules of the game entirely. The grand meeting hall of the Conclave ship fell silent as Captain Wright and Ambassador Russell presented their challenge. Behind them stood representatives from Earth's United Nations. Across from them, High Arbiter Zalkren and the Vakithrax delegation looked tense. Our challenge is simple, Wright said, her voice firm. Free all quarantined species and end the practice of planetary exploitation. She displayed the evidence Ramirez had gathered. Images of enslaved civilizations, planets stripped of resources, cultures destroyed. The pictures appeared on the large screens around the room for all to see. This is the true face of the Conclave, Russell added. Not a gathering of advanced species sharing knowledge, but an empire built on the backs of those who failed your impossible tests. The room erupted. Some aliens shouted angrily. Others looked away in shame. The Zari and Lumi moved to stand with the humans. This is outrageous, Zalkren declared. You have no right to make such demands. According to your own ancient laws, we do, Russell countered. Any species that passes 5 challenges can issue one demand that must be considered by the full Conclave. These humans lie, the Vakithrax commander hissed. They fabricated this evidence. Tits stepped forward. The evidence is real. Many of us have known the truth for centuries but feared speaking out. The crystalline Lumi leader's voice resonated through the translator. We too have witnessed these crimes. The time for silence has ended. Zalkren saw his authority crumbling. With a sharp gesture, he signaled to his guards. Seize the control systems. Lock down the ship. But nothing happened. Security specialist Lisa Chen smiled from her position at a nearby console. Short and unassuming, she had been working quietly while everyone focused on the confrontation. She held up a small device. Looking for access to your systems, she asked. We've been studying your technology since you arrived. Your security has gaps. Zalkren's face contorted with rage. You dare hack our systems. We dare to protect ourselves, Wright replied. Something you gave us no choice but to learn. The Vakithrax commander turned to his ship captains. Prepare to attack Earth. Now. The command went out, but again, nothing happened. On the screens, several Conclave ship captains appeared. We will not attack, one said. The humans speak truth. These crimes must end. Zalkren looked around frantically as his control slipped away. I am High Arbiter. You will obey. Not anymore, the Lumi leader said. We call for a vote of no confidence. Such a vote hadn't happened in 10,000 years, but the law still existed. One by one, representatives from 12 species voted. The decision was clear. The position of High Arbiter is vacant, the Lumi announced. A council of all species will govern until reforms are implemented. Thalkren backed away, surrounded by his few remaining loyal guards. "This isn't over," he warned. "The Thrax will not forget this betrayal." "It's not betrayal," Russell said. "It's justice." The new council's first act was to accept humanity's challenge. They agreed to free all contained species and establish fair systems for future contact with developing civilizations. "We will need time," Tates explained. "Some species have been enslaved for generations. Others may be hostile after their treatment." "We understand," Wright nodded. "Earth will help however we can." As the meeting ended, the Lumi approached Russell privately. "You should know something. When your species faced our trials, you didn't just pass them. You changed us. For millennia, we watched as the Conclave corrupted our original purpose. We were supposed to welcome new species, not exploit them." "What made us different?" Russell asked. "Other species tried to become like us to win our approval," the Lumi explained. "They abandoned their own ways, followed our instructions exactly. But humans stayed true to themselves. You used your own strengths. You challenged us when we were wrong. That is what a true galactic citizen does." Outside the meeting hall, Earth received news of the dramatic changes. People celebrated in streets worldwide. The threat of destruction had transformed into an opportunity for humanity to help reshape galactic society. But Captain Wright didn't join the celebrations. She knew Exal Kren and his loyalists wouldn't surrender easily. A new chapter was beginning, one that might be even more dangerous than the trials. 6 months passed. Earth was transformed. Ships from a dozen alien worlds now visited regularly. New technologies were shared, though carefully and slowly to avoid disrupting human society too quickly. The United Nations building in New York had been expanded to host the first Galactic Cooperative Summit. Representatives from 35 species gathered there, including 17 recently freed from Conclave control. Admiral Allison Wright, recently promoted, stood by the window watching ships land in the specially built docking area in the Hudson River. She wore a new uniform with gold trim that marked her as commander of Earth's first multinational space fleet. "Beautiful sight, isn't it?" Ambassador Russell said, joining her. She now chaired the new Galactic Rights Commission. "I never thought we'd see this day," Wright admitted. "When they first arrived, I was sure we were facing extinction. Instead, we changed the galaxy." Russell smiled, watching a ship from one of the formerly contained civilizations dock. Its design was elegant but showed signs of hasty repairs. They were still rebuilding their society after generations of Conclave control. In another part of the building, Dr. Nathan Cole and Professor Alan Miller led a scientific exchange program. Scientists from 20 worlds shared knowledge, each bringing unique perspectives. "The Zeri approach to quantum mechanics is fascinating," Cole told a group of students. "They perceive wave functions differently because of their compound eyes." Miller nodded. "And their language structure has helped us develop new translation systems. We've already made more progress in 6 months than we did in decades working alone." Security remained tight, although most of the galaxy had embraced the new order. Sal Kren and his Victhrax loyalists had fled to their home systems. Rumors said they were building forces for a possible return. Jack Ramirez, now head of Earth's new interstellar security force, took no chances. His teams worked closely with Lumi security experts to protect the summit. "Any sign of Thrax activity?" he asked his deputy. "Nothing near Earth," she replied. "But we've detected unusual movement near the Orion sector." "Keep watching," Ramirez ordered. "They won't give up easily." The main summit hall was filled to capacity as Russell called the meeting to order. Beside her sat Tictas, now co-chair of the Rights Commission. 6 months ago, we made a promise, Russell began, to free all contained species and end the exploitation that defined the old conclave. Today, I'm proud to report we've liberated 17 worlds and established fair trade with each of them. Applause filled the room. The formerly enslaved species were especially enthusiastic. "Our work is not finished," Tates added. The former High Arbiter and his followers must be brought to justice, and many worlds still need help rebuilding. On a large screen behind them appeared images of Tal Kren and other Vthrax leaders, now formally charged with crimes against sentient beings. Their trial would begin next month. After the formal meetings ended, a celebration began in Central Park. Humans and aliens mingled, sharing food, music, and stories. Earth cuisine had become surprisingly popular among many species. Wright found Russell enjoying a quiet moment away from the crowds. "We got lucky," Wright said. "If they hadn't challenged us, we might have remained alone for centuries." Russell shook her head. "It wasn't luck. The Lumi told me something interesting yesterday. They've watched thousands of species over millions of years. They said humans have a unique quality. We're most creative when facing impossible odds. That's why they chose us." Wright realized. They needed someone who could change the system, not just pass the tests. "Exactly. We were never meant to just join their society," Russell said. "We were meant to help fix it." As night fell, Wright looked up at the stars. Once distant and unreachable, they were now filled with allies and possibilities. Earth ships were already exploring nearby systems. Human doctors were helping heal worlds damaged by Conclave rule. Earth teachers were sharing knowledge with species long denied education. Humanity had not just survived the challenge. They had transformed it into an opportunity to build something better than what had existed before. A truly cooperative galactic community where all species could thrive as equals. And this was just the beginning.